Second down and goal from the 5. Willis keeps on the zone read, bouncing towards the goal line. Touchdown! Malik Willis into the end zone in Tennessee to pace the Packers to the early lead.
Week 3 in the books. Kenny C back here with you on the ones and twos. Welcome back to the Kenny C Show. A great week of football for the Green Bay Packers. We'll get into that. I'll also break down the 3-0 and 0-3 teams after week 3, so you want to stay tuned for that. To get into this here with the Green Bay Packers, they get a victory in Tennessee. Malik Willis revenge game, if you will. 30-14. The Packers romp the Titans, and they dominated the game again, a second straight week in a row in pretty much every facet. You look at what Malik Willis has done, and you got to credit again Matt LaFleur and quarterback coach Tom Clements. Tom Clements, since 2022, has worked with Love and Willis, and we've seen these phenomenal results. Got to give that man his flowers. Malik Willis in this one, 13 for 19, 202 yards, 1 touchdown, which is that 30-yard catch and run to Emmanuel Wilson, and then 1 rushing touchdown. He damn near set a Packers record for the most rushing yards in a game since 1960. He was 16 yards away from passing Don Magic Mikowski's record that he set back in, I think it was 93. Don't quote me on the year. But that's pretty phenomenal. He finished with 73 rushing yards. He needed 16 more to get that record. Malik Willis was doing it all. He set the tone for the game. LaFleur dialed it up in the offense. Again, with the pre-snap motion, getting the running backs involved, especially through the passing game this time around with Emmanuel Wilson leading the way over Josh Jacobs. He was getting he was making some really nice passes to start the game out. You had the really nice one to Jaden Reed, who had, I think, a 20 to 30-yard gain on that. And then he had that jump ball to Christian Watson. Malik Willis has looked good. He has played within his means, and he has done what he's had to do. He's been that sort of game manager, if you will, but also kind of elevated the team in the sense that he led the way with the rush attack and also did his thing through the air. The one thing the Packers have to clean up, though, 26 penalties in 3 games is unacceptable. If they can clean that up, they can be on the top shelf of the league. Most of those penalties have been offensive penalties, illegal shifts, illegal formations, an eligible man downfield. So if they clean those up, LaFleur said that comes down to fundamentals. We got to clean that up. We will. They can be a top team in this league. In the first half, the Packers were already demolishing the Titans. 120 rushing yards to the Titans 17, 266 yards total to 79 yards. And Malik Willis was ever so efficient in the first half on third down, 5 for 8, like he was last week against the Colts when all was said and done. Efficient as ever on third down, making plays happen with his legs, extending plays. I loved what I saw from the Packers in this game. And let's give the defense its flowers. Let's give it its game ball. 8 sacks on the day for the defense and 2 picks. One was a Jair Alexander in the first half, pick 6. And then Xavier McKinney, his 3rd pick in a row. His 3rd pick in 3 games. He is one of just, I believe, 5 players in the last 40 years to have a pick in each of his first 3 games with a franchise. He perhaps could be, and I think right now, we can all agree, until proven otherwise, probably is the best free agent signing of any team. Xavier McKinney has been an immediate impact player and an outstanding asset for Jeff Hafley's defense. Jeff Hafley and that defense was rumbling. Will Levis had no time. Granted, I don't really think Will Levis is the future of the Titans, but his line didn't really protect him all that much in the second half. He was only sacked once in the first half. Second half, it all started to go downhill and tumble. The Packers finished with 8 sacks. I think that was their most since 2005. And the turnovers, Green Bay now has 9 total turnovers, the most since 2009. 7 interceptions, 9 total turnovers. The defense is humming like a well-oiled machine. Preston Smith with 2. Devontae Wyatt with a breakout game. He had 2. And Kingsley Enagbare with 1.5 sacks. This Packers team, the sky is the limit. Once you get Jordan Love back, they continue to play like this. Ooh, baby, look out. Let's preview real quick. Going into next week, the 3-0 Minnesota Vikings. You gotta beat those Vikings. Kevin O'Connell, head coach, is working wonders with Sam Darnold. 4 touchdown passes in that blowout against the Texans. They look very good offensively. He's got all the weapons around him with Jettas, with Jordan Addison, with Aaron Jones, who had a nice receiving touchdown this past Sunday. Darnold looks good, but I would say pump the brakes on Sam Darnold. Jets fans, we're all looking at this like, what the hell? Everyone's looking at this like, Darnold. But you look back at 2021 with the Carolina Panthers. He was 3-0 as well to start that season, and he bottomed out the rest of the way, throwing 6 touchdowns to 12 picks. So you got to pump the brakes. He's got to prove himself, but hey, he's looked good, and O'Connell's given him every opportunity to shine with his play calling. Brian Flores, the guy should have got a head coaching position, defensive coordinator. Nobody wanted to hire him. He's been dialing it up. The Vikings are the 3rd team since 1990 to have a minimum of 5 sacks in each of the first 3 games. Their defense looks scary. The acquisitions of Andrew Van Ginkel and Blake Cashman, the 2 linebackers, those look like really good NFL free agency signings, and they are a unit right now, both offensively and defensively. This is not going to be an easy task by any stretch of the means to beat the Vikings next Sunday. I think it's going to be a close as ever battle. You got the Packers playing the best football defensively that they have in I don't know how long. And with the way that LaFleur has dialed it up with Malik Willis in the offense, you can only hope that we get Jordan Love back so we can reach full max potential and go out there and beat those Vikings down and end that undefeated season. Go Pack Go. Give me your comments on the Packers below, but stay tuned for week 3. Let's get into it.
Don't you open your mouth about the best, or I'm gonna shut it for you real quick.
Let's dive into the week 3 slate, shall we? We have teams that have yet to get a blemish on their record and teams that have yet to earn a win. We'll start with the winners. 3-0, 5 teams with that record. The Bills, the Chiefs, the Steelers, the Vikings, the Seahawks. Of the 5 teams, which one is the top dog? Who is the best of the best of the 3-0s? For me, I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills. Contrary to popular opinion, probably most of you are picking the Chiefs. I'm going with the Bills. Nobody expected this sort of offensive output. Josh Allen has put the team on his back. Joe Brady, the new OC who took over last November when they fired Ken Dorsey, has worked wonders in implementing James Cook and bringing back the run game to this Bills offense, giving it more of a balance like it has not had in years prior. You look at the turnover in losing Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, 2 of Allen's top playmakers. He's rocking with a rookie in Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Curtis Samuel, and his 2 tight ends in Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. 2 of those men in which Brady has strongly implemented into the offense. The Bills look like a team on a mission right now. Their defense looks great under Bobby Babich. Formerly the safeties coach for the Bills for about 6 years. Then he was the linebackers coach. He really helped to develop Terrell Bernard, who had an outstanding season last year in the wake of Matt Milano's season-ending injury. They still don't have Matt Milano. Bobby Babich has done big things with this defense, with the likes of the secondary and Rasul Douglas, Damar Hamlin having a hell of a year already, Christian Benford. This is a squad. This is a Bills team that has beat the brakes off of all 3 teams that it's played, including the bloodbath of Monday Night Football against the Jaguars. Allen tossing 4 touchdowns. They're putting up 30-plus points a game. They look great under Sean McDermott. He has his team ready to roll. They look outstanding. The Chiefs, I know you can make the record for the case for the Chiefs, I should say, because of how good they've been able to maneuver in games and come out on top and win in many different ways. Albeit, week 1, they won by a mere toe being out of bounds by the Ravens. That game was a toe away from being tied, and overtime, who knows what happens there. Week 2, the questionable defensive pass interference penalty called at the end of that game against the Bengals. That resulted in a Butker field goal. They're 2-0. And then this past week against the Falcons, there was clear as day defensive pass interference on the Chiefs with Kyle Pitts in the end zone. no call. The Falcons make a stupid play call, 4th and 2. They try to rush it to the left with Bijan Robinson, and it gets blown up by Nick Bolton. So that was a stupid play call, but the Chiefs walk away with a win there. So I can understand why you want to give the nod to the Chiefs, especially because everybody counted them out last year and they went on to win the Super Bowl. But I just think this is a Bills team that is so tired of losing, and so tired of losing to the Chiefs. And we're going to see when they play each other, it's going to be the true testament. But I think they are just ready to roll. The Steelers, got to give credit to Mike Tomlin for what he's done with Justin Fields. I think the Steelers only have 3 total touchdowns on offense, 3 total touchdowns through 3 weeks, which does speak volumes to the coaching staff. And you look at what Terrell Austin has done with the defense, and the fact that you have Nick Herbig balling out this past week, and Cameron Hayward is great, Joey Porter Jr. is great, TJ Watt. They have a stable on that Steelers defense. Can't forget about Minka Fitzpatrick. They have a great defense. The offense is doing what it needs to do with Calvin Austin and George Pickens, who's great, and Pat Freiermuth in the offense with Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. But the quarterback position is a question mark for me still. I know Justin Fields has looked good, but I don't think if you put them up against the Bills or the Chiefs, I don't think they're getting a W. The Vikings, they look good under Kevin McConnell. They look great, in matter of fact, with Sam Darnold throwing 4 touchdowns this past Sunday. Brian Flores has really dialed it up with that defense. I talked about that previously with the Packers preview look ahead to the Week 4 match between the Packers and the Vikings. And then the Seahawks with the youngest head coach in the league, and Mike McDonald. He's doing big things. Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator there, after spending 2 seasons with Washington, and Michael Penix, getting that college spread offense going with Geno, and Geno and Metcalf look great. And they're getting Kenneth Walker, who was injured this past Sunday, but they're getting him and Zach Charbonnet in the mix early and often. The defense looks really good. I think far and away, though, to me, the best team is the Buffalo Bills. Give me your take. I want to know what your takeaway is from after this past week, the 3-0 teams. Who is the best, in your opinion? Let me have it in the comments. Let's get into the losers now. And now to the bottom barrel of the league. The teams that are yearning for a W in the win column, the Titans, the Bengals, and the Jaguars are the 3 teams that are 0-3. Among these 3 teams, who is the worst of the worst? I'll go with the Tennessee Titans. I just don't think Will Levis is the guy. He does not look like he's the future of this franchise. The Titans have the most turnovers in football right now with 8 turnovers. Will Levis was killed this past Sunday, sacked 8 times. That's also a testament to the fact that their offensive line is probably 30th in the league, if not the worst, one of the worst. And I remember a time where they were one of the best. Brian Callahan, it doesn't look good early for him. This is his first year. And Bill Callahan, his father, is the offensive line coach. He's a guru. He's a legend. Hopefully he can get this offensive line going, but Levis just does not look like the guy. He holds on to the ball way too long. He makes the wrong reads. He turns the ball over. He just doesn't look like he is him, so perhaps they address that in the draft moving forward, try to get some premier draft position, and get their quarterback for the future. They're not clicking. Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins had a good game in the second half against the Packers, but look, let's face it, they're both receivers, especially Hopkins, more so Hopkins, getting up there in age. Tony Pollard, who was a big free agent signing for them, they haven't used him all that much in the offense the way they should. This Titans team just does not look good. Now, the bright spot for them, among the offensive line, is J.C. Latham, the 7th overall pick out of Alabama. He looks like a dog. I think he's tied, if not number 1, for the least pressures allowed among rookie offensive linemen. He looks like a beast. He's the only bright spot of that offensive line. You look at Nicholas Petit-Frere was pulled out of the game. He was doing so bad against the Packers. Peter Skronsky, the left guard, has 4 pressures. That's the highest on the team. Lloyd Cushenberry, who they signed in free agency, he hasn't looked the best. This is an offensive line that just is not clicking, and it's evident by the fact that Levis was sacked 8 times. Now, the defense, headlined by Denard Wilson, defensive coordinator, they have some dogs on the defense. The problem is, I believe they have yet to force a turnover. L'Jarius Sneed, Quandre Diggs were 2 of the big acquisitions. Harold Landry's been a stud. T'Vondre Sweat is a beast with Jeffrey Simmons on that D-line. They have a good run defense, but they have not looked the best as a total unit. Arden Key, I also like. But this Titans team as a unit, to me, there's just not much hope this season. Even though they have the 21st hardest schedule, which is sort of middle of the road, that's not the worst. They have not looked good in all 3 of the games that they have played in this year. If you look around at the Jaguars, yes, Trevor Lawrence got the bag and is 0-8 in his last 8 starts. He looks pretty bad. The offense as a whole, though, looks bad. The offensive line was getting bulldozed by the Bills, and that's also credit to the Bills' defense. But the Jaguars, they at least were in the game in week 2 against the Browns. Penalty killed them and pushed them back even further. Little too late, little too much, little too late for the Jaguars in that game against the Browns. But they didn't get blown out. Against the Finns, that was when Tua Tagovailoa was still under center for the Dolphins in week 1. And then you look at the Bengals, they had a heartbreak loss to the Chiefs in week 2. Week 1, stunning loss to the Patriots. That's set there. But here's the thing with the Bengals. They always start off slow, and then they get better and better as the season progresses. That's why I'm not so much worried at the Bengals. And you also look at their team. I think they're more of a complete team than the Titans. But the Bengals, then they had Monday night game. They still looked elite against the Washington Commanders, but Jaden Daniels was just that much better. So of these 3 teams, I think the Titans are the worst. Now, you give me your opinion. You subscribe to the channel. You comment. You start a war in the comment section below. I know my boy Mike Speranza is not going to like this pick, but let's hear what you guys got in the comment section below. Stay tuned for more.